All right, let's Google some questions to end this episode. We're not going to get all 10 in today. So let's Google these questions to end the show. So what am I Googling?
So Google best interview questions to ask an interviewee.
Okay.
Let's see what comes up. Best interview questions.
Let's
get a real professional.
Harvard.
Harvard. Okay, maybe, but I don't know if they're that much about interviewing. Who else? Got a couple of private people there.
Private. Yeah, I don't know about
I don't
those.
know who they are.
How about Indeed?
Indeed. Okay,
Indeed. They should know what they're doing.
Yeah, if Indeed has, they have Indeed. Indeed has questions.
Indeed. 15 good interview questions by Indeed.
So these are questions that Indeed recommends.
Yes,
and
these are what
they're in the recruiting.
They're into the.
Okay, let's see. They got some good.
I'm going to question you now.
So let's rate them.
Are you ready for this?
Let's rate them A, C, and F. A is a question that we would ask in gatekeeper hiring.
Okay.
C is maybe if it was reworded.
Okay.
Or using a different strategy, then that's okay. And F is like don't even ask.
Don't
it's
go
a waste
there.
Of time.
Okay, let's see what we have.
And what we learned so far is asking questions that have nothing to do with the job, right? Asking chess questions, it's a chess game.
Yeah.
Right.
Be a detective.
Yep. And being a detective, detect lies.
And don't believe everything.
Don't believe everything.
Okay. What attracted you to this position specifically?
Okay, so that's probably a C question. What
attracted you to this position specifically?
This would be, I would ask somewhat like that if I'm tracking an ad.
Okay.
Right? So what in the ad, what I'm asking is what in the ad what
piqued your interest in the
right,
job?
because we know our ads are attracting and repelling.
Right.
Well, this ad attracted this person. So I would use that question as what in the marketing, basically, because I want to make sure that marketing works. What in the marketing made you show up for an interview today? Okay. That's how I would interpret it and use that. Now, maybe what does Indeed say? What do you use? Why would they ask that question?
It's a great way to begin the interview.
All right.
You can't make it up. It says it right here in black and white.
All right.
So another thing that you brought up that I think you were tracking your ad.
Yeah, tracking.
And that would be your ROI on your ad.
Yeah.
So that's a different hat of the 4 hats that you wear from.
Yeah. And you're looking at keywords and buzzwords.
Absolutely.
Especially if that person gets hired.
Right.
You want to know what
triggered.
Right.
What triggered.
More like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
A C question.
Okay. We got a C question. We're off to a good start. Number 2. What hard skills make you most qualified?
What hard skills? Now, if they more qualified than who?
Exactly. That's
more qualified
that's
than
the question.
Other applicants? How would they know that information?
I wouldn't even know how to answer that myself if they asked me that.
Yeah, and so
it's open-ended.
So here's a chess question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got the hiring ad. I know kind of what they're out. So I'm going to say, well, if it's a restaurant, yeah, I got customer service. I've got, food handling.
I can handle pressure.
Yeah, I can work on it. So yeah, obvious. But what's a bad answer to that question? What hard skills makes you the most qualified? A bad answer would be, I don't have any hard skills.
I don't have any hard skills.
Is anybody going to say that?
They probably won't.
They won't.
I think they're going to. This will help establish a tangible hard skill. That's their thinking.
It would be a C question if you really wanted to dig down and do a match.
I would say an F question.
I
wouldn't even ask that question.
That would come out in the interview as you're going through their work history and experience. So you don't need to ask that question.
I would find it redundant. I wouldn't even ask. Number 3, what professional achievements are you most proud of?
So that's a C, because again, what's the bad answer? I have no accomplishments. They're not going to tell you.
I'm just getting started in life.
Right. So it's not going to be a disqualifier question.
No.
Most of your questions are strategic to get a disqualifying answer. Right. So there isn't one here.
Mm-mm.
You might want to see, are they engaged? So one of the things we look for is engagement. Are the employees engaged? Are they motivated? And that's seen in projects they've done, right? Achievement.
Mm-hmm. Achievements.
So I'll probably reword it to see if I'd have to validate. If I don't think that they're motivated and engaged, I might hint around a question like that. Hey, so what have you done? Right. What really gets you? What's really motivated you? Or what have you achieved? What do they say?
They're kind of saying similar to what you're saying. The question is good to establish what the candidate thinks what's most important to them and how well they translate to this position.
That's kind of fluff.
It is fluff.
But
it's
at best.
Yeah. Number 4. Can you think of a time when you had to overcome a challenge in a workplace?
That's a rehearsed answer. That would one that they would come already prepared or think about a lot on their feet.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get a real answer from this.
Yeah. And if they say no, I can't. Well, that's
yeah.
That's a bad answer.
That's even a bad answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be a question.
That's even worse.
As is, they would have that rehearsed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think of a time when you had to overcome a challenge, and that's a common question.
Well,
you'll Google that and see that come up, and they'll tell you how to answer it.
Well, here's the thing I'm thinking of too is what job doesn't have challenges?
Yeah.
So if you can't think of a challenging time in a position of a job, or are they just going to make something up to make themselves look good?
Yeah. The only time that would be a C question is if you're using that because you doubt their temperament, or you doubt that they have hot heads or something like that. So, so tell me about a challenging time, because now you're following up on a red flag.
Right.
You would want to find out, okay, well, tell me when you were challenged, what happened like that, because they've gone down that rabbit hole. Right. Now you want to get examples of that. So it could be a C question in that context, but head on, it's going to be rehearsed. They're going to know how to answer it. Yeah. And there's no bad answer other than saying, I can't think of anything.
And are you getting a true temperature of an employee?
Right. Now, if they're giving you answers like, I can't think of anything, then your hiring ads are not doing their job.
Right. Right. This goes back to the hiring ad. That's a good point, is go back to the foundation. We want everything that we do is strategic and foundational.
Yeah.
And that would be the foundation, is going back to the ad and see where the ad failed you and to write better copy for the next ad.
What's the next question?
Number 5, do you prefer the work alone or in a team? Trick question.
Well, so here the answer is in the question.
Yes.
What do you say? I'm going to say, I'm sure you want me to be a team player.
Yes.
So the answer is in the question, which is why you would never ask this question.
Right.
It's obvious what the answer is. And when you think about teamwork, it's really a team is a bunch of highly performing individuals.
Right.
Coordinating and communicating together. Right. That's what a functional team is. Correct. It's not like everybody is at the same level and we all, we all just ebb and flow together. It's you got high performers, and then you get some coordination and communication. But the answer is in the question there, so you would never ask that question.
And it could be both answers. Actually, you want somebody that can work alone,
right?
Without yes, and then you want somebody that works alongside somebody else quite well.
Right. There's no bad answer.
So there's no really bad answer.
They're both good answers, and but the answer is obvious.
But it's a bad question.
Yeah, the answer is obvious in the question.
Okay, what skill would you most like to improve upon?
Again, a rehearsed question. And how would you disqualify that? How would you not believe it? I want to. What are they going to say? It's a chess match. It's a chess game. But okay, now how would I answer that so I look good? What skill?
What if it's an entry level position and they don't know anything about it? I want to improve on the whole job because I don't even know what it is yet.
And they may say something crazy, but it's not their fault that they're saying something crazy. It's your fault for asking such an open-ended,
poor question.
A question that is not focused on anything in particular.
Why did you leave your last job? And why are you considering leaving your current job?
So this is probably the number one most rehearsed answer ever. Why did you leave it? Because they'll know they're going to get, especially if they have a shady work history,
right?
Or any kind of work history. The biggest question you're going to get is, why did you leave? And if it's bad, they're going to lie.
Well, even if it's not bad, and let's say you left for a good cause, a good reason, but you're trying to impress the interviewer as the interviewee, and so you don't want to give them anything that's going to make you look bad.
Right. It's a chess game.
It's a chess game.
And you would never ask that question direct like that, because, like I said, they know who to blame. I mean, who do they blame most of the time? Why did you leave that job?
Management.
The manager.
Management.
The owner. the
Right.
employee. It's somebody else's fault, not
Right.
theirs.
No, I've never.
Right? It's not their fault. So we already know that that's where the answer, and they know they've got the alibis and everything else. You want to know why they left, but you don't ask direct like that. There's a technique that we teach in gatekeeper hiring called flanking, where you want to know why they left, but you don't ask directly. You get it other way, and they tell you why they left, but it's not a direct. They're like unaware,
and it gives you more of an honest opinion, honest answer,
and they're unaware you're asking that question,
right?
And all of a sudden they realize that they just answered that question,
right?
And if it's bad, a lot of times when it's bad, they'll answer the question honestly, and they'll say, "I probably shouldn't have said that." Happens a lot during interviews. Right. And I said, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. You know, it happens.
Yeah.
You know,
not
some things they say is crazy, but I try not to put them down. It's an interview and I want them to be a customer. Right. But you flank that. Never hit it head on.
Right. Number 8, how do you manage tight deadlines?
Obvious answer.
Obvious.
Calendars, to-do lists, you know. What's a bad answer?
Work harder.
Yeah. What's a bad answer?
Call in a team member. Yeah.
How do you manage tight? I guess the bad answer would be, I don't. I'm always late.
or tight deadline. How are you going to meet this tight deadline? I don't know. I'm off at 2:00. It doesn't matter.
That's my deadline. What does it say? What does it say?
Let's see. If your organization is one where teams quickly go to a high degree of accuracy, you're likely to be chosen a candidate that handles tight deadlines. And it's just telling you that you want somebody that can handle tight deadlines. It doesn't really, they're just.
Again, if somebody says, I've never had a deadline, or I don't know what you're talking about, why they sit in front of me?
So that's funny. Number 9, what is your ideal position and why?
Gosh, another chess.
Well, your ad said you needed a pool tech, so that's my ideal position.
Again, here the candidate's got to say, okay, if I say I want his job, is that good or is that bad? Right. I want your job, and you hear that a lot.
Yeah,
I want to be where you're at. Right.
I want to be the restaurant manager someday.
Right. What is your ideal job and why? So I like this question as a C, as part of a. You want to know, do they really want to work for you? Right. Do they really want the job that they're applying for? Right. So you flank. This is a flank question. What's your ideal position? I asked that question, but a very different way, where they're telling me what's the perfect career for them. What's the ideal? And after I look at their resume, if it's all jumpy in different industries, then I'll kind of bring this out and to see where their heart really lies. Now, I did this with a chef. Right. The same question. He was applying for a restaurant manager job, and after the interview, I said, "You know what? You're not a manager. You're not going to make it. You'd rather be a chef." He goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah. What you want to do is be a chef, right? Because all he talked about was being a chef." I said, "Tell you what, don't apply here. You know, we'll terminate the interview. Go find a chef job." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah. I'm trying to help you out here. You're not going to make it here." So he did, and he did go find a chef job. And he showed me like 3 weeks later. He called me. He said, "Hey, I'm so grateful you didn't hire me."
Right.
Remember we said do him a favor?
Yeah, do him a favor.
He says, "I'm a chef. I'm creative. I can do everything I can do." Because he wanted to rewrite menus in our burger place. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the things he wanted to do. We would not let him do. So he's creative there. He's doing all that. And he was happy as could be. So, you know,
that's kind of what they're saying.
Ideal position?
Yeah, that's kind of what they're saying. You're trying to find out their short skills so that you can, see if they're a perfect match for the job, but actually to enhance their position.
But you don't need to ask that question like that. It comes out in the interview. It comes out as a red flag.
Right.
Well, why are you applying for this job when your experience
is elsewhere? Yeah.
Like retail. That happens a lot of people at retail trying to come to restaurant. Yeah, but I don't see any transferable skills over here that are really going to be matched for you. So that is the spirit of that question. It's important, but it usually comes up as a red flag during interview.
Okay.
Is that they really don't want that job you're offering them.
Number 10. How would your coworkers describe you? I love this question.
It's a very common question.
It's a common question.
But how are you going to answer that question, right?
They're so open-ended.
Team player, kind. I'm cover.
And the bad answer would be they hate me. I don't get along with anybody.
I have a foul mouth, foul language.
Please give me the job. Yeah, I'm bad with
I
customer
steal their stuff.
service. I take their stuff from their lockers. I eat their lunch in the refrigerator.
Are you finished with that?
I'm done.
But what kind of question is that, right?
Yeah.
How would your coworkers? Again, it's a
Yeah.
question that they're going to pass, and they're going to believe it, right? Because
Yeah.
they told me all this stuff is really great. They're going to be a great match for my team, and you have no idea if they are or not.
And Indeed says it's because they ask it because it's important for the hiring process to understand the candidate and see how they see themselves. So this is a question they're not really wanting the interviewer to say what the coworker wants. They're trying to get inside the head of the interviewee
but that
to
question
see
won't
how
do
they
it.
see it. But that's
That
not
question won't do
that's
it.
not
There are
gonna
ways
do
to
it.
get into that, and we do teach
Yeah.
how they see themselves is important, but you don't ask them that question, how the
Right.
coworkers. But we do find out how the coworkers treated them, right?
No, right.
So we interview in Gatekeeper Hiring, we interview their coworkers too through them, and we get that answer of whether they were good.
So
or
I
bad.
think say that again, because I think a lot of people don't get that. Is we interview them through their coworkers' eyes, through their boss's eyes. Okay.
Yep. What's the next
So
one?
speaking of that,
Yep.
speaking of supervisor, we're going to extend onto that question. How would your supervisor describe you?
Lazy, late,
No good scoundrel that steals.
thief.
He gets hungry at lunch and just opens up a
Drunk.
chocolate milk and yeah.
What do you mean? How would you? Hard
Same
worker,
thing.
punctual. I mean, that's a great answer.
That's a great answer.
Come on
yeah.
board.
Rehearse. Yep.
So yeah, how would your supervisor? So we do that in Gatekeeper Hiring, but we do it. We actually interview their previous employers through the employee. By the way, we ask questions. We interview their employer, right?
As if they're still working.
They're standing
for
there right next to that employee. We're like, okay, here's your former boss. I'm going to interview him through you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the techniques we teach.
Yep.
And then he can tell me all about you.
Right. Right.
He's going to tell me, because I'm going to ask him directly, and you're going to tell me exactly what he said about that. And that's a technique that we teach. So I wouldn't do that head on because it's obviously the answer is going to be obvious, not hard to come up with. And you're going to believe them and say that's a match.
Right. Right. There's no way for
if
you to see anything
stealing, you'd
else.
never know.
Right. You'd never know.
Or harassment.
Number 12. Have you applied for any other position? So tricky question.
It is, and it is one that, again, in the going through the resume and the work history, like the chef guy, you're not a real match for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say, you have passions here, and that you really enjoyed this job here. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Do you have other resumes? And it's an honest question, right?
That is a good question.
Only because I don't think he's a match. Right. I think I'm just an option.
Right.
And I want him to let him know that I can't be an option. That's a disqualifier for me.
Right.
That'll not get you hired for your own good.
Right.
Right. I want you to go to your best option, not option number 10. If I'm option number 10, I don't want to hire you. Well, go be happy somewhere else.
Well, and I've had people that have come, let's take the pool industry, and they've come up to me and I really need this job, Kevin. I really need a job. And I said, okay, great. How do you feel about water? I can't swim.
Whoa.
Disqualifier.
Yeah,
you're not a match,
right.
And so, applying for another position might be the thing for you.
Yeah, and it's okay if they are.
And that's okay.
Most people have 10 resumes out and stuff like that.
And that's okay.
But you want to know where you rank in those. Are you the number one top choice? Good. Well, I want to be. What else?
Yeah. Okay. Number 13. We're getting to the end here.
Yeah, good. So far, I don't have any A questions.
No, you haven't. Not. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Okay. Jeez. I hope everybody listening to these questions are already answering the question. Right. I hope everybody listening is getting what we're saying.
Yeah.
The kind of questions that are being asked are not good. I mean, so
what's wrong with this question? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
Well,
I want to know what your ambitions are.
Be homeless, in jail.
That would be the bad answer.
You're not going to hear that, right?
You know what else would be a bad answer? Excuse me, I'm sorry. You know what else would be a bad answer for that is I'm gonna come to work for your restaurant, and in 5 years I'm gonna own my own restaurant.
Cool.
Why would you hire me?
I might.
You may or may not.
if I got you for 5 years, that's pretty good
Right.
retention, you know, and you can open your own place. As long as you don't
Absolutely.
steal my stuff.
Yeah.
But again, that's what do they say? Why would you ask that question?
They're saying this question can help you determine if your candidate has the right professional drive.
That comes through the interview with throughout the other.
You don't even have to.
direct.
You don't even have to.
And
ask.
really, the answer, there's no bad answer to that, other than
Mm-mm.
like I said, you're going to be in jail. I plan on being in jail, or you know,
right.
in 5 years. I mean, you might get that employee to say something that they really don't want to say or uncomfortable. You put them in one of those situational questions, but
and it's
do you
really
need
to
to
find
know?
out if they. That's what I was going to say. Is it pertinent to the position that they're going to take?
Yeah.
Whether or not they're in college and they're going to graduate
Right.
in 5 years. I'm going to graduate in 5 years. That's great. You have ambitions.
Yeah. And if I got it for 5 years, that's good.
Yeah.
It's better than 3 months.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like that one girl gone in 3 months. So I had her for 5 years.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do in 5 years? Let me help you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I like
a stepping stone.
Exactly.
to
I
your
want to be
career.
a stepping stone to the next level.
And that comes out during the interview, you know, what their ambitions are. So a lot of these questions are answered in there, and we really want to be a stepping stone to help them out.
Now, Tom, this one's got to be one of my biggest pet peeves that people ask. Okay.
What's that?
What do you like to do outside of work?
And what does that have to do with the job?
Exactly. I don't understand. And I've seen it on every single application. Yeah. What's your hobbies and what do you like to do outside of
what's
work?
a good answer to that question?
Right. Nothing. I like to work. Come on.
I know
they're lying. I have no hobbies. I have, I like to go home. I like to go home, watch TV. What difference does that make?
What you do,
exactly.
I need 110% performance in the schedule. What you do after that is completely up to you. I don't even want to know.
Right.
I don't want to think about you outside of work, and I don't want you to think about work outside of work.
Right.
When you're here, I want you right on time and give me 110%.
And then when you leave, don't even think about me.
Yeah, don't even think about me. They do, right? But don't. I don't want you to think about it. I don't want anything. So that is
just not a big fan of that question.
No, what do you do outside? It also gets you in trouble because if they say something, they're involved with some kind of club or some kind of activity, and they don't get hired, they can say you discriminated because I told you I
belong to this group.
I belong to this religion. I belong to this.
That's a good point.
So you didn't hire me because
steer clear. Interviewers, steer clear of that question.
Doesn't matter.
Last but not least, do you have any questions for me? I love this question.
That's an A question.
Fine,
we got an A.
Yeah, we got an A out of all 15.
When you ask that question, you ask that question if you're going to hire them at the very end of the interview. And if you're not going to hire them, you don't ask that question.
Right.
Don't ask that question. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at that point if you're not going to hire them.
Okay. If you're not going to hire them and you say, do you have any questions for me? And you start answering these questions and then you reject them, it could really be a turnoff.
Right.
Right.
Right. And at that point,
you're this and that, like the question would be, what are my chances? You don't want to ask that.
That's not,
if you have any questions for me, I'm not going to hire you, but let me see if I can embarrass you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know what you're going to ask.
Yeah.
What are my chances? What are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. All those questions that I really don't want to ask.
But if you do the interview right, like you've, have shown so many people, and I have too, is if you do the interview right and you don't say too much during the interview, at the very end, that's when they start asking you, what's the position entail? What does it pay? What does,
right,
vacation times, whatever. You start telling about
because the next conversation is a job offer. So at the very end, what questions do you have for me? And if they ask at that point, they ask, what's the pay? We didn't even talk about
that. We didn't even talk
exactly.
About
we didn't talk about that.
That's where you want that question
right?
to come up.
We didn't talk about the perks and all of that. So what is it? Good. This is a good time to ask because you need to ask that. You need to know. You didn't come into it saying, how much do you pay? What are the perks? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? No, at the very end of the interview, and I'm deciding I'm going to give you a job offer.
That's when the magic happens.
That's when I tell you everything you want to know about the job. There's no reason to hide it anymore. And there's no embarrassing them, but congratulations, they're going to get hired because they got through the gate. They got through the gatekeeper, and open the floodgates. Let them know that's how wonderful you really are. But make sure if you commit to something, you got to make sure it happens, or you're going to have turnover.
That's going to do it for us today, and we appreciate you guys tuning in to Rise from the Ashes Consulting Show. It's blowing up, and we appreciate all the likes and the shares. and the subscribes. Yeah, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out. And if you're a manager or a business owner, please share this with all your friends. This is Rise from the Ashes Consulting Show. I'm Kevin James.
Tom Duhigg.
Transform your business, transform your life today.